You have seen your own face thousands of times. In mirrors, in phones, in windows, in the front-facing camera you opened by accident and immediately closed. You know what you look like. You have always known what you look like. Except you haven't. For most of human history, almost nobody knew what their own face looked like. Not clearly, not accurately, not in the way you do right now. The mirror is a recent invention, and what humans did without it reveals something strange and fundamental about how we actually see ourselves. The oldest mirrors ever found date to around 6,000 years ago. Polished obsidian, volcanic glass ground smooth enough to produce a reflection found in Anatolia, in what is now Turkey. They produced a dim, dark, imprecise image. Not the clear, sharp reflection you are used to. Something closer to a shadow of a face than a face itself. And they were luxury objects, rare, expensive, owned by almost nobody. For the average human for most of history, a clear view of their own face simply did not exist. So what did they have instead? Water? Still water, in the right conditions, produces a reflection. A calm pool, a clay vessel filled to the brim, a slow-moving section of river on a windless day. These were the mirrors of the ancient world, and they had serious limitations. They required specific conditions to work. Wind distorted them instantly. Movement distorted them. Clouds changing the light distorted them. The image was inverted, dark, unstable. You could see that you had a face. You could see its rough shape. But the details, the specific features that make your face yours, were largely inaccessible. For most of human prehistory, a person might go their entire life without ever seeing their own face clearly. This raises an immediate question. If people couldn't see themselves, how did they manage basic appearance? How did they know if they had something on their face? If their hair was presentable? If a wound was healing properly? The answer is other people. For most of human history, your appearance was managed almost entirely through social feedback. Someone else told you what you looked like. Someone else checked your face for you. Someone else picked through your hair, removed parasites, cleared debris, managed the parts of your physical presentation that you could not see yourself. This is the same social grooming behavior found in chimpanzees and other primates. In humans, it was not just hygiene. It was connection. The intimate act of looking at another person's face carefully enough to manage it created and reinforced social bonds. You trusted the people who could see your face. You depended on them. And that dependence made the relationship real. There is archaeological evidence that ancient humans cared deeply about their appearance despite having no clear way to see it. Body paint appears in the record going back at least 100,000 years. Ochre, a naturally occurring red pigment, was being processed and applied to bodies long before any written record. At Blombos Cave in South Africa, researchers found ochre processing kits dating to 100,000 years ago. Small abalone shells used as containers, mixing stones, pigment residue, a toolkit for applying color to the body, not used for a single occasion, used repeatedly, maintained, kept ready. These people were decorating themselves without being able to see the result clearly, which means appearance was not about seeing yourself. It was about being seen by others. This distinction matters more than it might seem, because it suggests that the purpose of appearance in the ancient world was fundamentally social, not personal. You did not dress and decorate yourself to satisfy your own assessment of how you looked. You did it to communicate something to the people around you. Status, group membership, availability, spiritual affiliation, rank. Your appearance was a signal directed outward, at others, not a reflection directed inward, at yourself. The mirror changed this relationship fundamentally. Once you could see yourself clearly, your own appearance became something you could judge privately, something you could evaluate against an internal standard, something that could satisfy or disappoint you independently of anyone else's reaction. The mirror created a new relationship between humans and their own faces, one that had never existed before, and one that, depending on how you look at it, has not been entirely good for us. The first metal mirrors appeared around 3000 to 4000 BCE, polished bronze, then polished copper, then silver, progressively clearer, progressively more accurate. In ancient Egypt, bronze mirrors were common enough among the wealthy to appear regularly in tomb inventories, buried with their owners, considered important enough to take into the afterlife. In ancient China, bronze mirrors were objects of significant spiritual power, believed to reveal truth, to repel evil, to show not just the face, but something beneath it. Across cultures, the mirror's ability to show you yourself was treated as genuinely remarkable, almost magical. Because for most of human history, it was. The Romans produced glass mirrors backed with metal, closer to what we use today, but still expensive, still distorting, still owned by the few. The clear glass mirror that most people today would recognize did not exist until the 13th century in Venice. Glassmakers on the island of Murano developed a technique that produced a nearly perfect reflection. It was so valuable that the Venetian government treated the knowledge as a state secret. Glassmakers were forbidden from leaving the island under penalty of death. Their families could be imprisoned if they defected. The ability to show a person their own face accurately was considered worth killing for. There is something worth pausing on here. For virtually the entire span of human existence, you would not have known your own face. Not clearly, you would have known it the way your closest companions described it, the way they reacted to it, the way it looked in dim water on a calm day. Your sense of your own appearance would have been constructed almost entirely from other people's responses to you, not from your own assessment, not from a private judgment made in front of a glass, from the faces other people made when they looked at yours. In some ways, that is a more honest system. Your appearance is a social reality rather than a private obsession, managed by the people around you rather than critiqued by you alone in a bathroom mirror at 6 a.m. In other ways, it is a more vulnerable one, entirely dependent on others, impossible to verify independently, built on trust rather than reflection. Basically, before mirrors, humans knew what they looked like through the eyes of the people who looked at them. And for most of history, that was enough.